the fear before the fight. Imagine this. A country wakes up one morning. No tanks have crossed its borders. No soldiers are marching in. But suddenly, their radars light up. Their skies go silent. And within minutes, everything important is gone. This is how wars begin. When the US Air Force shows up, not with noise, not with warnings, but with fear. Because the truth is simple. Most wars are already decided before the first this air, first jet even lands. The power you don't see on maps. When people talk about military, power they count soldiers, tanks, missiles. But real power starts in the air. Because whoever controls the sky controls communication, supply lines, intelligence, morale, and no force in human. History has mastered this, like the United States Air Force. Why untouchable is not an exaggeration. The US Air Force is not just strong, it is faster than anyone else, smarter than anyone else, everywhere before anyone else arrives. Most countries design their air forces for defense. The US Air Forces designed for global dominance within hours. That difference changes everything. Fear is a weapon, and America uses it perfectly. Here's something most people don't realize. The US Air Force doesn't need to fight every war. Sometimes just existing is enough. When enemy generals hear F-22 Raptors are nearby, B-2 bombers are airborne, satellites are watching every move, decisions change, plans collapse, wars end before they begin. Speed that breaks strategy. Traditional wars gave leaders days or weeks to react. The US Air Force gives them minutes. Within hours, America can disable air defenses, destroy runways, cut off command centers, blind enemy satellites. No army, no navy, no missile system can operate properly after that. This is why the as Air Force always goes first. The psychological collapse. History shows something brutal. When a country loses control of its airspace, soldiers on the ground stop trusting orders, stop moving freely, stop believing victory is possible. This isn't about explosions. It's about hopelessness. And the US Air Force has perfected this effect over decades. Not built to win battles, built to end wars. Most air forces exist to support armies. The US Air Force exists to end wars before ground troops even arrive. That's why it has what it has. Independent command, its own nuclear forces, global intelligence networks, space dominance. It is not a branch. It is a system of dominance. The philosophy parallel warfare. Most military branches engage in linear warfare pushing a front line. The USAF practices parallel warfare. Instead of fighting the enemy's army at the border, the Air Force strikes the five rings of an adversary simultaneously. The brain leadership and command centers. The system power grids, fuel, and communications. The infrastructure, roads, bridges, and logistics. The population breaking the will to fight's ecological impact. The fielded forces, the actual tanks and soldiers hit last once they are isolated. 2. Independent command, the 1947 breakaway. Until 1947, the Air Force was part of the Army. The split happened because visionaries realized that if pilots are always subservient to ground commanders, they will only ever be used as flying artillery. By being independent, the USAF can focus on strategic bombing, hitting targets thousands of miles away that have nothing to do with the current front line but everything to do with winning the war. 3. The nuclear triad, the ultimate deterrent. The USAF manages two-thirds of the US nuclear triad. Land-based bombs thousands of miles of reach from silos in the Midwest. Strategic bombers, the B-2 Spirit and the upcoming B-21 Raider. This isn't for winning battles, it's for ensuring a total war never starts. Or ending one instantly if it does. For space and intelligence, the high ground. You can't hit what you can't see. The USAF, and now the Space Force, which grew out of it, maintains a constellation of dominance. GPS controlled by the military, used by the world. IS, or intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance satellites and drones like the RQ for Global Hawk provide a god view of the planet. When the Air Force has space dominance, the enemy is essentially playing chess while the USAF is looking at their hand and recording their thoughts. 5. Global reach, no safe zone. The true system of dominance is aerial refueling because of the KC-135 and KC-46 tankers. The US Air Force does not have a range. It can take off from Missouri, strike a target in the Middle East, and fly back. Global reach, global power isn't just a slogan. It means the US Air Force considers the entire planet a single theater of operations. The verdict: you're spot on. The USAF isn't built to trade blows with tanks. It's built to dismantle the concept of the front line entirely. By the time an enemy army sees a soldier on the ground, the Air Force has usually already destroyed their fuel, their electricity, their radios, and their hope. Why this terrifies the world? Even powerful nations know this truth. They may challenge the US on land. They may challenge the US at sea. But in the air, they avoid it. Because once the US air centers the fight, there is no reset button. The unchallenged sky, why the world fears the USAF. This isn't just patriotic hyperbole. It's a cold assessment of geopolitical reality. Since April 15, 1953, no American soldier has been killed by an enemy aircraft. For over 70 years, the US has maintained a no-fly zone over its own troops, regardless of where they are on the map. Here is the breakdown of why the US Air Force USAF represents a level of game over that keeps global powers awake at night. 1. The invisible first strike. While other nations are still perfecting their first-generation stealth, the US is decades into its third. The Raptor and the Lightning, the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning E, don't just hide from radar. They manage the entire electronic battle space. By the time an enemy pilot sees a blip, a missile has likely already been traveling toward them for 20 miles. The B-21 Raider, the upcoming B-21, ensures that even the most advanced integrated air defense systems IADS in the world are essentially security theater. 2. Logistics, the anywhere, anytime rule. Most air forces are regional. They can protect their borders or strike a neighbor. The USAF is global. Aerial refueling with a massive fleet of KC-135s and KC-46s. The US can keep bombers and fighters in the air indefinitely. Strategic airlift through the C-17 and C-5 Galaxy. The US can move an entire army's worth of equipment across an ocean in 48 hours. 3. The gods of UAS are: you cannot kill what you cannot find, but the US finds everything. Intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance IS are between satellites. High-altitude, long-endurance hail drones like the Global Hawk, an AWACS airborne warning and control system. The USAF sees the battlefield in 4D. Data link an F-35 can see a target and send that data, ship 100 miles away or a tank on the ground instantly. This network-centric warfare means the enemy isn't fighting a plane. They are fighting a hive mind. For the kill chain, speed, and precision, In modern warfare, the kill chain is the process of finding, fixing, tracking, targeting, and engaging an enemy. The use of has compressed this 2 minutes, sometimes seconds asterisk, while an adversary is still trying to confirm a target's location via radio. A GPS-guided DAM joint direct attack munition has already been released from 30,000 feet. 5. Why there is no reset button. When the USAF enters a conflict, they don't just fight for air superiority, they fight for air supremacy. Air supremacy, that degree of air superiority wherein the opposing air force is incapable of effective interference. Once supremacy is achieved, the ground war becomes a turkey shoot. Supply lines are severed, command centers are vaporized, and troop movements become impossible. Without the sky, a modern army is just a collection of very expensive targets waiting to be hit. The bottom line. The bottom line. Nations challenge the US on land or sea because those domains allow for attrition, a slow back and forth. The air, however, is binary. You either own it or you're destroyed by it.